Hi, it's Friday, it's 3 o'clock. Welcome to Together Unlocked, brought to you today, as always, by Together 2012. We're a disability arts organisation based in the main Paralympics host borough of Newham, and we run a disabled led artistic programme throughout the year and a targeted programme of creative development workshops for disabled people through the year as well. We're doing everything online at the moment, and this show is part of it. So, we're here in East London in my studios. I'm Ju Gosling, artist and artistic director of Together 2012, and I have with me Julie Newman, artist and our chair. We're going to come back to us in a minute for some audio description. But first of all, we're going to go over to the other end of our long virtual sofa to the West Midlands for some introductions, and perhaps you can also introduce our first topic, dressing up to go out to stay in.
Well, hi, good afternoon from the West Midlands here in Sutton Coldfield. I'm Robin Surgeonator. I'm business director at Together 2012. Um, and today, to start with, I am looking ever so slightly older. No, I'm not at all. I'm feeling very fresh in myself with shiny blonde white grey hair today. And as ever, no rimmed silver armed glasses, nearly shaved, and I'm wearing a black round necked t shirt. So I'll go to you to describe, say hello, Josh, and then come back and talk about the next bit.
Thanks, mate. So I am Josh Surgeonator. I'm also one of the hosts of Together TV, and I am a doctoral research student. Most of the time, when we're not in lockdown, I have kind of swept over blonde hair with a kind of Tintin-esque bit sticking out the side at the moment, which I tried to stick down, and it was having absolutely none of it. So I'm just going to embrace it and roll with it. And I'm wearing a grey shirt with the sleeves rolled up to my elbows, and it has a kind of black leather collar. And then tell us what you're dressed up for.
Right, so on a Friday, we do our dressed up to go out to stay in. This is taken from an idea way down the other end of the world in New Zealand, where people on a Friday night dress up in their kind of fanciest opera gear and make it very formal, even though they're not going anywhere, or certainly weren't at the time.
Yes, I was going to say, of course, in New Zealand now, they really can dress up to go out.
um, and we are and so but here together what we're doing is we're recognizing that we really shouldn't be going out. It's certainly not partying, so we are attempting to embrace enjoying ourselves as ever, and so we're asking each of us and anyone watching to dress up in something that would they would wear if they were going to where they're not going, which is as ever as confusing as we could possibly make it. So I'm wearing a black round neck t-shirt. And I can't remember if I've worn this one before, but it has many guitars on the front of it. A whole host of acoustics, electrics, semi-acoustic guitars, Fenders, Gibsons. Um, Other makes are obviously available, and I'm dressed this up because I'm going to go. I would go to a guitar show this weekend. The guitar shows are always great fun, um, other than the fact that you either spend too much or realize that you don't have anywhere near enough to spend, but can play with many toys and get your hands on pieces of musical equipment that you would never normally be able to do. So that's me for the weekend.
I never even knew there were such a thing as guitar shows. Where do they take place when they are taking place?
Uh, Certainly, I've been to guitar shows at the NEC. I've been to guitar shows at a smaller exhibition place in London, in Birmingham, um, in Handsworth. They do them at Earl's Court. They do them at XL. I mean, I think they tend to move around a little bit depending on you know.
Yeah, and because I'm just thinking, lots of people are thinking about buying guitars, or they've got guitars that they haven't used and they need to go and buy some accessories or get some advice. I guess it's just not the kind of thing that Excel and places, because we're very close to Excel, advertise perhaps in the national media. Where would people look as that kind of event comes back to see those sort of things advertised?
Well, there's a company called PMT Online, which is professional music technology. I mean, and again, other companies are available, but um, they've been quite robust in making sure guitar events happen. Certainly in the Midlands, and but PMT are now a national company. They got places in London, Southend, Birmingham, Leeds, Nottingham, Liverpool. So they've blossomed, and actually although they started in Birmingham and Southend, they started with an online offer at the same time as they kind of opened stores. So they do a really big online music service, instrument service, as well as having shops where you can actually get your oily mitts on them.
Okay, so I think it's a good time to flag up the fact that we have a highlights and links page for everything that we discuss on this show. So the videos we show, the pictures we show, and the topics we discuss, you will see the links for. So we'll definitely put that link up. I remember buying my electric guitar nearly 20 years ago now, and I just couldn't have beaten going into a shop and being properly advised and being able to try different models. But actually, if you can get a personalized service, then I imagine it can also work online. And we talked a few weeks ago about ukuleles, didn't we? And how what a cheap kind of accessible option they were. And certainly, I think there's no harm in buying a ukulele online. You really can't go wrong.
Yeah, but as a guitar fan, I mean, Josh is whispering in my ear, Guitar Walls. If you look at the PMT website or go in the shop, I mean, there are literally, there
Probably
it's
7 meters, 6 or 7 meters high, and about 80 meters long. It's got
yeah,
a wall of guitars.
well, yeah.
And I don't play guitar; I just think they look cool. But that wall looks really cool.
Okay, so for anybody who wants to play the guitar, has a guitar, or like Josh just thinks they look cool, we'll make sure those links are up. That page is usually online by 7 o'clock. We also, every evening after the show, put up a recording of this show with enhanced audio and with the captions embedded in it. So if you're watching a recording but you've gone to the sort of live part of YouTube, there's going to be a better version on our website, and the address has just gone down the bottom of the page, www.together2012.org.uk. If you're watching this show at the moment on YouTube and you need captions, then again, if you click on the Together Unlocked page on the website, you'll see captions being streamed live underneath. And that's a good opportunity for us to say thank you, Julia from Global Retime Captioning, who's typing this as I speak. So, what are you dressed up to go out to stay in for, Josh?
And I'm dressed up in a kind of nice-ish shirt. Because I got an email earlier this week from university around what they're kind of planning for next year in terms of lectures and what you can do on campus and all those different bits and pieces. And then the most important section of the email was what they're going to do for Welcome Week, which is Freshers Week for. But they're not allowed to call it Freshers Week anymore, so we have to call it Welcome Week. It's just a week-long party, essentially. So I do have to feel a little bit sorry for those undergrads that are going to university and won't experience it as I did. It just made me think that I haven't gone out in so long, and I've got a Zoom call with some friends over the weekend, but it's not quite the same. No one's going to spill a drink on me other than myself. My wheels aren't going to stick to the floor, and just kind of missing it a little bit. So I thought I'd dress up to what I'd wear to some casual drinks in the pub that would inevitably lead to a late night in a nightclub. So that's what I'm
I think that's
aspiring
a
to.
really good idea. I was going to dress up as if to go clubbing, but it's so hot in London. I think it's 29 degrees in Canning Town at the moment. So I am wearing a strange folding hat, sort of pale grey with kind of net inserts in it. vents, which I bought last year because my neck kept getting burned when I was working outside, but I haven't had a chance to wear it properly. Underneath that, I have very short tenured red hair. I'm wearing black rimmed glasses. I've got black wrist braces, silver jewellery, a very light, short sleeved button down shirt, which is pale yellow with blue stripes, and Julie describes as a hanky. And I am dressed up for the great big butterfly count. In fact, when I woke up this morning and I saw a butterfly out the window, what I decided to do is that I would dress up to go out to stay in to go to a butterfly house. And I have found a number of live streams from butterfly houses around the world, which are really fascinating. So I'm going to put those up on the links page. And then Julie realised that the great big butterfly count started today in the UK. It runs until Sunday. I'm going to put the link.
No, the 17th of August.
Oh, till August.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you've got quite some time. I think it's the 9th of August, isn't it?
I thought it was the 17th, but I could be wrong.
No, today is the 17th. So moving swiftly on, we will put the link up to the Big Butterfly Count. There is a really fascinating app. So all you need, if assuming you've got one, is a smartphone. And I've downloaded the app, which is free, and it's fantastic because it's got photographs and identification guides for every butterfly that you're likely to see, and also what they call day flying moths. It's got an interactive map. It tells you you do 15 minutes. You pick a spot. I'm going to sit by my window and you do 15 minutes. You can do more than one watch on more than one day. And what they say is as soon as you've uploaded your first sightings, you can call yourself a citizen scientist.
Oh, cool. We have a buddleia.
For the purposes of illustration, I'm waving a decorative butterfly which has been fascinating the cat, and I have taken out of a plant pot. So yes, this is my prop butterfly.
Yeah, one of Emily's cats, both of them I think, but one of them more so. Butterflies are a delicacy, I believe. Unfortunately for the butterflies, yeah, because if they come anywhere near the garden, or if you see the cat stalking something, 9 times out of 10 there's a butterfly somewhere that's about to be eaten. So we might not have a very high count, or if we do, it might not contribute to the overall number because it will go 1 0 1 0.
Could you try and shut him up now, Robin, please?
I was trying.
Audience traumatized at the thought of what your cats are getting up to. If you see random pets and assistance dogs wandering around in the background, also as part of our sub menu under the Together Unlocked page on the website, you can find a page called Animal Hosts, and you can find out a bit more about all of these animals. I don't think these tendencies have been described on the page, so there is no need for a trigger warning. Julie, you've been really patient. What do you look like? What are you wearing, and where are you going?
What do I look like today? I don't know. I've got gold and silver hair, dark rimmed glasses, a slightly red face because it's a bit hot, and I'm wearing a blue background t-shirt with a moon on it and a space tabby, because I'm really following on from the poem, The Celestial Homesickness, that I wrote on Wednesday. And it struck me, I know about the dog star, but I really don't know about any cat stars. So I thought, well, I'm going to go with the tabbies and we're going to go and explore. We'll have a little dance with asteroids and comets and everything else and check out the cat star situation.
Well, that sounds fascinating. And for anybody who's mystified, you don't have to go to a real thing. That's the great thing about dressing up to go out to stay in. If you want to go to the bottom of the sea, the surface of the moon, all these things are possible. In real life, however, I think it's going to be a long time before the nightclubs go back. The summer holidays are party season, and I think we all need to start holding some virtual parties on Zoom. I'm going to volunteer to do one for Julie's birthday in August, and formal wear will be required. So I'll get that invitation over to you by email. But yes, I think it's time we all started doing a few social events can be over the phone, it could be anything really. But if you can't get out to see people in an appropriately socially distanced way, and I think for those of us in the shielding group, despite the announcements this morning, it's still going to be quite tricky. I mean, did you see the news with the Prime Minister talking about the changes?
Yeah, something about Christmas. I'm sorry, Ju. I tend not to listen to him. I don't really believe anything he says. So, you know,
Yeah, if I can just move slightly on from that. So, to summarise, they hope to have a near normal by Christmas, although I think that is unlikely to involve anything that isn't socially distanced, because a near normal Christmas party, if the virus is still in the UK, which they seem to think it will be, just won't be possible. They're going to be allowing from August indoor performances to take place again, and I think that's great news for artists. But again, there's that caveat that because it has to be socially distanced, a lot of venues are saying, well, we can't really do that without more than 25% capacity. We need 70% capacity to break even. So I think it's still going to be a long journey. As we were all saying on Wednesday, it would be great if they included digital audiences, and that would certainly be one way of breaking even. But I think we've got a bit of a way to go on that. I mean, what's your take on how it's going to impact on live music, Robin?
I mean, I can't see how it's gonna um it's gonna work. I mean, there are so many proximities, and unless all the artists are in pods and sound engineers are in pods and stuff like that, you simply, from, as you guys know, and someone who's been in a band, um, even if the band in itself all lived in a house, like lots of bands do when they're students and all get famous or whatever, they can stay together. When you go to other places, roadies, people unplugging, plugging things in, guitar technicians, if you're big enough to have someone who tunes your guitar for you and stuff. But it's all other hands on. There are going to be huge amount of other people's hands and there with it, breaths and sweat and whatever. From a performer's side of it, I think has its inherent dangers in terms of COVID. Um, I think from the audience side, I think any audiences would love to be able to go and see somebody, even if it's an open mic and someone like me jamming out a few songs on a guitar that, they can all sit, if they're from the same family, they can sit at a table and just make sure there's, 7 foot before you get to the next table. I think it's doable. I think probably a lot easier for somebody like me, or, smaller artists that actually can be relatively self-sufficient in their kind of setup, so you don't have to have that clamor of people, and again, so which lends itself to things like poetry cafes. I mean, I've never been to a poetry cafe where there wasn't space to social distance. um and that's not entirely true, but you know what I'm saying is that it's not beyond the realms of possibility, I think, for that kind of smaller stuff. But yeah, anything bigger, you can't see them. If I rented out the NEC for a gig, there'd be plenty of space for people. But any named band um, would just, they just wouldn't be able to do it, and they'd be operating at such a loss to run the building and run the crew and everything else that I think it would be really difficult. Yeah, until they can look at much greater numbers.
Yeah, I was talking to an event producer yesterday and, saying we really see a kind of future where there is a live audience, but half of them have come in online. And apparently venues are discussing it, but I think it's a very kind of particular point to the music business as you were describing that process. It's not like a theatre production where you can set it up, do the same performance over and over again in that set. Even that sense of kind of the support band, everything's got to be swapped over. I mean, we were talking around Glastonbury, and I remember sort of having the privilege of sitting on the side of these huge stages in the 90s, and absolutely the number of people on stage as well as the band, and the number of, I mean, with Glastonbury, and I imagine all the big stages, you're actually sound checking the band behind while one band's performing on stage. It's just that you can't hear them. There's such a turnover. So it isn't just about audiences. I think the music business and the nightclub business are really going to be the worst hit, and they're the ones we're hearing the least about. And I do find that quite concerning because there are a lot of disabled people working in those businesses.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's because historically the music business particularly has been seen as this huge money cow, um, and but that's really only true at the top of it. Um, but so therefore, but it doesn't get that investment. I mean, it's really hard. You can't. It's really difficult to get, for example, an arts council grant to do just to be a musician, to write a piece of, to write a concept album that you still need all the artistic space to do. Oh, but that's music, and it's like, well, no, it's not. It's art. And so I think that yes, you're absolutely right that there is. It's going to be difficult for the music business, but then at the end of the day, I guess though, in the same way that they've always done, is there will always be teenage boys and girls, young adults, whatever, trying to play Smoke on the Water in a music shop somewhere, or Stairway to Heaven, or Smells Like Teen Spirit, whatever. Yeah, Wonderwall. That that will always be there. So I guess they're relying on the fact that people are still going to want to make music.
I think there's certainly a massive opportunity for renaissance for local offers, like you were saying. People who don't have to travel very far, are fairly self-sufficient. The audience doesn't have to travel very far. You're doing it at smaller local venues, which are actually easier to socially distance. And I think that, and a combination of part digital audiences, where you buy a ticket for a very specific event, it's live. It's not videoed. You can't watch it afterwards. It's a numbered ticket. There's not an infinite number of people for that show. But I think digital audiences are going to be absolutely critical. But like you say, it doesn't alter the problems facing the stadium shows. I think the hope with everybody, of course, is simply that the virus keeps going away and that local action works. But it's very difficult to look at what's happening in America and believe that the virus isn't just going to keep getting imported and imported and imported. But still, at least it's promising news for many. I mean, I think Newham is an area where at the moment we've got a fairly low level of infection, but because we had such a high level previously, we're quite nervous about local lockdowns. But it does look like, if not light at the end of the tunnel, I think everybody's got everything crossed that certainly things will just allow us to connect a bit more as human beings and do a bit more as human beings. But I think our overwhelming message is still stay home, stay creative. That is the best way to stay well. And on that note, I've got some beautiful work that Pamela Hilliard sent in. Pamela's one of the participants in our year round clubs program. I talked a little bit about that at the beginning. On a weekday morning, in more usual times, we would be running free creative workshops every weekday morning in East Ham, open to any disabled person who can get there and anybody they want to bring with them. On a Tuesday, the art club looks very much at what we call craft based activities that you can still use in fine art, and that includes a lot of wool work. What Pamela's been doing is a great deal of knitting and crocheting. She's been making some rainbows and selling them and giving them away to celebrate the NHS. I'm just going to show you these crocheted rainbows that you can hang up. Yes, imagine it the other way up, but I think they're incredibly cute and well made. And in fact, what we ought to do is ask Pamela if she will be so kind as to give us the pattern, in which case we will share it on the highlights and links page and let you know next week. I'm just going to show you one more thing today, but I'm impressed with the volume, so we will look at more of Pamela's work in the future. So this is one of the baby outfits she's been knitting. And they've been being donated because, of course, a lot of parents have faced huge problems as they've brought children into the world in the last few months, not just being able to afford baby clothes, but the fact that if you haven't got internet access and the shops are closed, you actually can't get baby clothes. So I think the fact that Pamela's been making those baby clothes and just incorporating all of that creativity as an artist into doing something really practical, both to thank the NHS and raise awareness of the NHS work and to support these new families. I think that's great. So
where will you put the pictures, Ju? Where can people see the pictures?
That will be on the highlights and links page that we talked about before. And like I say, we'll have a look at more next week. And I think this is a good time, actually, to talk more about our Join In From Home programme, of which this live stream is part. As an alternative to the club's programme, while we can't be running it, we have a Join In From Home programme based on our website. And I'm just going to show us a short video which will tell us a bit more about it. Together 2012 is running a Join In From Home programme from our website, together2012.org.uk. Click on the link at the top of the page, Join In From Home, to go straight to the main page where you have a wide range of accessible, inclusive creative activities, mostly using things that you would already have at home. At the top of the page and throughout the pages, you will also see videos in British Sign Language to translate the site for deaf people. These videos can also be useful if you have difficulties reading and you simply want to hear more of the content. The Join In From Home programme is based on the activities that we would usually be running in East London. So, for example, we have an arts club which usually operates on a Tuesday with craft-based activities and on a Friday morning for drawing and painting. Here you can join in with the arts club's Hands project and celebrate your uniqueness and membership of the human race. There are full instructions on the linked page here. But essentially, we invite you to draw around your hand on a piece of card. It could be an old cereal packet. Cut the shape out, turn it over, and decorate it with anything you would like to do. It could be paints, crayons, glitter, collage, beads, leaves, anything you can think of. Photograph your hand or hands and send it to us at tv@together2012.org.uk. We'll add it to our video installation and share it on social media. Our music club usually meets on the first Friday of each month. We have an open mic session and we invite everybody to play along with percussion instruments. So here you can learn how to make your own percussion instruments from recycled materials. And you can also join in a percussion workshop from last summer in terms of Carnival Percussion. So these three instruments are used most often in Carnival. We have a shaker and a go-go and a hand drum. So this is how to make a recycled shaker, a recycled go-go, and a recycled hand drum. You can also, if you're technically minded, make your own tactile sound instrument. This does require a few simple electronics, but is a very interesting and exciting project as part of our Vibrafusion ongoing work. You can also listen with Together. We have Spotify playlists created by Robin Surgeonator, also known as our TV presenter Angry Fish, and we also have 2 classical music playlists from Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra, including one that's uniquely suited to people who are feeling very unwell. And here we are back again. So, in fact, I have had a film in from Staraplergia and Hannah Facey from Act Up Newham, and they've been making shakers. So let's have a look and see how they got on with this activity.
Hi, I'm Stara, and I made a shaker. I was drumming.
No.
And I didn't have a shaker, so I made one.
shake our shakers to the left. We're gonna shake our shakers to the left. We're gonna shake our shakers to the left. We're gonna shake our shakers to the right. We're gonna shake our shakers way up high. We're gonna shake them way down low. Shake, rattle and roll. Shake, rattle and roll. We're gonna shake our shakers to the left. We're gonna shake our shakers to the left. We're gonna shake our shakers to the left. We're gonna shake our shakers to the right. We're gonna shake our shakers way up high. We're gonna shake them way down low. Shake, rattle and roll. Shake, rattle and roll. Shake, rattle and roll.
That was an abrupt finish there.
There was, but nonetheless, it was a great video for anybody who could only hear it. What they did was take what I think looked like drinks bottles and used PVA glue and sheets of tissue paper. So they rolled them in the tissue paper, which created a really interesting tactile surface, put stickers on top of that, and then filled them with, I think it was red lentils. We would probably say if you can avoid using food, that's a good thing to do. But as with us, they're shielding. So I think in that case, you just have to take whatever you can get. This is the point when we talk about something for the weekend and look at all the things we can do without actually going out. No doubt over the coming weeks, we'll be looking at things you might be able to do in real life as well, as long as you can do them safely. But at the moment, it's still entirely virtual, or as you've said before, Robin, things you can do at home, but you don't necessarily need the internet for. Who wants to start?
I'll go first if you like, because I think actually it's interesting that the moment there is this sense of lockdown changing, there is distinctly less available online already, which is surprising. And it's or certainly on the free side of it, there's lots of things you can buy, and that's kind of people getting into that. However, I found a couple of things that were, I think, quite different for the weekend. Again, as we've said on the highlights page, the links to what I talk about will be up there. So the first thing is and I've realized now that it is every Sunday, there is a family kitchen rave. Basically, they do the 2-hour slot on a Sunday afternoon with a couple of different DJs, creating a family rave and making it really good fun. And I think the last count, they had 300,000 families watching it or something like that. I mean, it's really good, really amazing. And it's free as far as I could tell. I've never been perfect, but I do.
Glow sticks not included.
Yeah. You have to get your own glow sticks. But lots of color, and then you can paint and dress up, so you can actually dress up for it and feel the part. And it just looked really, really good. And I thought what I thought was good was it was specifically a family activity. So many of us are part of families, and a lot of the online offer is much more adult orientated, and kids, well, there's CBBS or whatever. But no, it's nice to do stuff together. And then the other thing that I've found, which I think you two might actually quite like, is an online murder mystery investigation. And it's not the way if I've read it right, it's not just I'll do this for an hour and you find out the result. It's like an investigation, and you have to email questions as an investigator to a team who then answer it in a way that would either send you the right way or deliver you the wrong way or stuff. So it's actually an active activity. Hello. But this one is called Murder of a Music Mogul, online murder mystery. I will say it's probably a very, very glorious advert for some art, because I looked at the site and there are other probably bigger mysteries that you can buy into, but this one's free, and it's very much it's you have to think about it rather than just watch something and work out what's going on.
And it sounds like the kind of thing that's fun to do once, in which case you only need the free thing. I mean, I know, well, I have a lot of very competitive friends, and of course, you're amongst them. And I can see them definitely subscribing. But yeah, I think one would be enough for me. But it does sound like a kind of fun thing to do. And again, it's not the kind of thing that you would necessarily want to devote the time and the resources and the energy to do in real life anyway.
No. So I think that's quite, it's just different.
Yeah, I think that sounds fabulous, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, without us being competitive, we used to watch CSI as a challenge rather than as a TV program. No, so in terms of what's going on this weekend, I've got a pretty sport-filled weekend, really. Obviously, there's the Hungarian, I can't speak, Grand Prix this weekend. It's happening in Hungary. There we go. Got the words out in the end. And then, but this weekend on the BBC, I think it's mostly on BBC One. I think there's one on BBC Two on Sunday. They're doing an Olympics rewind to London 2012. So this evening they have the opening ceremony, and then there's 2 shows on Saturday, 2 shows on Sunday, that are kind of highlights of across the kind of 2 weeks, and so we have kind of Super Saturday and things in there. And I'm really looking forward to it because
in the anniversary games this weekend, Josh, because it feels like this would be the kind of anniversary, the 8-year anniversary of the opening of the Olympics, and presumably that's why they've chosen it. But in previous years, around that time, they've had what they call the anniversary games up in Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park. So, yeah, it was just a kind of local interest, really, whether they'd said anything about whether it was instead of or.
I think it's that may be part of it, but also with kind of the original dates for the 2020 Olympics being kind of now, or kind of starting either this weekend or next week. I can't remember the exact dates of when it was, but it was the kind of 20th of June. Is when it was kind of due to start. So I think that's a big part of it as well.
Oh yeah, well they've had the anniversary games anyway. That's just me being a non-sporty person, but trying to keep up.
Yeah, but I'm really looking forward to it because despite being a sports person, and I watched all of the Paralympics and went down a number of days to London for it. I actually missed most of the Olympics in 2012 because I was in South America. So the bits that I did see were in Spanish and Portuguese. And whilst I did learn passable Spanish and Portuguese for the month that I was there, it wasn't quite good enough to follow the commentary in Portuguese for what was going on. So I'm quite looking forward to actually being able to kind of watch it outside of YouTube highlight clips or whatever. So I'm quite looking forward to it.
Julie?
I agree with Josh. I think it'll be very interesting, and thank you for bringing that to our attention. For me, looking back on 2012, it was unusual in both the Olympics and the Paralympics, in as much as the UK teams were given so much support that we actually did really, really well, and it was fantastic, But there was all the competitors, I think, really responded positively to the London Olympics, and records were broken, and it was very, very exciting. I like athletics very much, and I like world sports very much, so I do tend to enjoy it. Picking that up, I agree with you about how do you pronounce the Hungary sort of Formula One, because it's called the Hungaring.
Yeah, it's the Hungarian Grand Prix. It's the Hungaroring.
That's it. And it's a bit of a mouthful, but I'm looking forward to that. And certainly with the BBC, you tend to be a highlights man. I tend to be more impatient and enjoy the radio commentary. But I'm really looking forward to that. I think as well, I was checking out the prides, because obviously this is sort of pride highlight of the summertime. And there's a Pride event tomorrow based in Newcastle called Northern Pride, and it's online. I have no idea of how it's going to work out in practice. The virtual Pride, the global Pride, I thought was very, very well done. So I'm going to check that out tomorrow. And along with my space kittens, there's quite a few things happening at the moment over the next month or so, astronomically. I always try to pull in the astrologicals, but it's not. It's the astronomicals. There's the Perseid meteor shower, which comes every year from now until the middle of August. It's beautiful. There's lots and lots of little shooting stars to watch in the night sky. And at the moment, there's a new comet, which is very exciting. It's called the Neo-Wise Comet, and it's a C2020, I think. But it's unusual, and it's got two tails, which is unusual. It's unusual because it's newly discovered. It was discovered in March. And it's unusual because it's very, very clear over the UK at the moment. Still, you can still see it, but also it won't be back for another 7,000 years. So I think I might
see it while you can.
That's exactly right.
Well, I must say, coronavirus did us all a favour then, because the skies are so much clearer. And although they don't quite understand why, London traffic is back to its usual levels and national traffic is back to its usual levels. I suppose because for everybody staying at home, there's people newly driving, but the air pollution has not gone back up and it's still remarkably clear. So anybody having a sleepless night, I think it's well worth looking out the window on the off chance.
I was going to say, Julie, are you able to point compass wise at least where someone should look in the
That way.
sky?
Yeah,
We'll do it on the yes, that way, but
I
we'll
think,
put it on the links
yeah,
page.
I think if you go to the links, it does show you, but it's usually the best time is just after an hour after sunset and an hour before sunrise. I think I don't know why I think it's in the northeast, but I might have made that up. Sort of like just because I think I know everything. Just finally, with regards to the Formula One, I saw on the news that Alex Zanardi has been, as you said quite rightly, Josh, has been unconscious for a few weeks since his accident. He was a former Formula One driver who had a massive crash and was a double amputee subsequently, and moved over to Paralympics as a Paralympian
hand cyclist.
Hand cyclist, that's right. And he had a crash a couple of weeks ago and has been in a coma. They're starting to reduce the level of narcotics that he's being infused with and trying to see, as his level of consciousness rises gradually over the next few days, how he'll be responding. I'm just thinking of him and wishing him well, because he's given us all so much inspiration and, sort of a big heart. That man has been through so much, and you really hope that his recovery is not too painful for him.
Yeah, and I think it's a good moment to just say to everybody out there who's experiencing difficulties, sickness, bereavement, lots of us are thinking of you, lots of us have been affected. We are in it together. Let's not lose track of that as people sort of seem to veer off, with some people going back to an almost normal life and the rest of us not. So, do we have anything else to flag up for something for the weekend? I'm just solely going to do butterflies, and also I've decided to spend my summer holiday money on a Disney TV subscription.
Right.
We don't usually go on holiday because we can't afford it, but I do have days out, including things like Wimbledon.
Disneyland.
Yes, I'm not really keen on Disney, but Julie loves it. So I thought, following on from the investment in the PlayStation, I would also invest in Disney. I know we were challenged on Wednesday by the Surgeoners to start playing Olympic PlayStation games. So I guess we'll be doing a bit of practice on the PlayStation.
Yeah, we have news on that.
You may
actually.
struggle slightly on that. I knew that it had been released in Japan. It came out in Japan in June of last year, and it was due to come out internationally this year. However, I believe that may have been pushed to next year to coincide with the Olympics when they actually hopefully happen, because I can't find anywhere online of where it's coming out internationally.
I think
So if you want to play it in Japanese, then you can.
Well,
But,
Robin was suggesting that we did some research, or rather, you did some research, you sporty surgeoners, and you found free versions of games that were also Olympic sports, whether that was shooting.
Yeah, I mean, we could just. I mean, it could be we can get hold of Rio.
They haven't made one since London.
But we will continue to research and see what we can
I
find.
think the way forward is free games in the Olympic sports that we can then challenge other people to, and indeed you can start beating the surgeoners. But everything we do it together is free at the point of use. We recognise that money is a massive barrier.
I found a couple of free sailing apps for my iPad. I'm going to investigate them and send them over to you, Josh, for next Wednesday.
Okay.
I'm very, very excited about that because they're virtual sailing and it's wonderful.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I found a free app. I was going to say about stargazing. I have a free app where you can use it in two ways. You can tell it what you want to see, and it will almost kind of direct you to move around until you're looking in the right place. Or you can just hold the phone up, and it will show you whatever is in that direction. And yeah, I've really enjoyed using that. I don't usually get much opportunity to do stargazing, apart from if we're traveling, and then I always have to take the assistance dogs around the car park of whichever hotel we're in late at night. And so yes, in fact, when we were doing a respite break last August, I installed this app, and the dogs would be in the car park, and I'd be waving the phone at the sky and trying to pretend I was somewhere perhaps much more scenic.
I think it's interesting though that you don't have to travel very far to see the difference in the night sky. You know, the difference of angles and where things come up.
Yeah, that's what I find. The moon is all of the windows that I can look out through, particularly high up, are on one side of the house, and by the time the moon's really high, it's on the other side of the house. And and I think that's the difference. If you're just somewhere like a car park, even you've got that vision. You can look in any direction in the sky, so that can. But like I say, I think the apps are fantastic. If you've got a smartphone, you could really spend weeks just going through all the different free apps there are available.
Yeah, we'll have to find a fishing game.
That's kind of arty, but I mean, one thing I hope we'll be looking at in the next couple of weeks is how to develop your own app. Apparently, there's all sorts of kits out there, again, free, where you can go onto websites and start creating apps. So I think we're pretty interested in that. What else have we got coming up next week, Julie?
Next week.
It's too hot to think, isn't
I
it?
don't know really. Well, we've got Josh's wonderful Wednesday slots, which I always find really interesting. We've got possibly some more breaking down of filming techniques on Monday.
Yes, Monday, we try to look at different things each day according to what we would usually be doing. On a Monday, we have a dance club, we have a photographers and filmmakers club, different Mondays. So we look quite a lot at dance, photography, and film. I've been sent in a film from Act Up Newham, led by Jade Sempare, who's also a member of our Associate Wheelchair Dance Company. She's got a whole set of guided exercise and meditations over 5 minutes performed with Act Up Newham. And I think we'll play out the last 5 minutes on Monday with that so that we can all do a bit of exercise at the end and not have to do it in the middle and then come back on air. We can all have a nice drink after that. We'll have more of Pamela's artwork next week. I've got some poems already in for next Wednesday when, like you say, we also have the Clockwork Paralympics. We have virtual nature watch with the assistance dog, and we have pop-up poetry. So it's going to be the usual packed week. One of the things I was thinking earlier, Robin, when you were saying that there's a lot less available online already, I think it's two reasons, and one of them is absolutely the funding for all of the emergency projects was just up to July. And I remember saying at the time, as somebody who's shielding, I may not be officially shielding after the end of July, But in reality, the practicalities of trying to get around East London in a wheelchair with social care support mean that, in effect, we will still be shielding for another year to come. But also, the kind of high season has really ended. I was glad you brought up about Pride, because I think people really think about Pride Month. And yet, Brighton Pride is traditionally at the beginning of August, Manchester Pride is traditionally at the end of August. So we shouldn't just assume that everything kind of LGBTQI plus happens in June. And it's great to see that there's going to be virtual events coming up. But it's one of the reasons I'm saying it's time to sort of have a few virtual parties. I don't know what a virtual barbecue looks like, but yeah, I think school holiday, because so many people go away, entertainment generally becomes very different. I hope there is going to be more of a resurgence and more of an offer of some of the things online. What do you think over in the West Midlands?
I don't know. I mean, I'm really not sure. I know our local art forum, they've got something on tonight, for example. It's literally just flashed up behind me, behind you, I should say, on the screen. So I think, yeah, there's lots of, certainly in Birmingham. Birmingham has lots of local art forums who, and they kind of cross pollinate or germinate with each other's activities, and they've really worked hard to try to bring something each month, and they kind of do, one area will do one Friday of the month and the next area the next Friday. So a bit like the Pride, really, because if everybody celebrates Pride on the same day, then it's one day of the year, and so it makes much more sense to spread it out, because you're no less proud because it's the day after. And so that's that's going to be going on, and I'm going to I'm even contemplating doing a Facebook Live gig myself, actually, and it's something I've never thought about doing until now. And I'm thinking, well, actually, that might be quite fun and encourage other people to. Maybe something we can talk about over the next week or so, because we know lots of people aren't going to be going out, is actually about having that confidence. We have poets in the group, we have other musicians. Let's work out how we get them to do some little baby shows, and then maybe host or help host that as together.
Yeah, absolutely. We've said this before. We're also looking at this as an opportunity to embrace it as a digital year, to get lots of people online and digitally included who haven't been. And that confidence, I mean, I know lots of people still say they don't like doing Zoom because of being seen on camera. And the short term solution is you don't actually have to show your face on Zoom, you can switch your camera off. But I think it really requires a lot of confidence. But things like Facebook Live are very straightforward. We've done some events together before, haven't we? And you just literally open your Facebook page and click on it. And as you were saying, there's lots of people happy to be entertained by a local performer. They're not desperate to go to a stadium. They'll settle for any kind of night out they can get, even if it's virtual. So it's a little bit of a captive audience as well. We have a Zoom together on the first Thursday of each month. I say that's to replace, but actually it's additional to our Friday Music Club, which is usually on the first Friday of each month. By the time we get back to that, we won't have two events the day after each other, but I think we'll probably keep Zoom going because it includes people who can't get to things in real life. And that's been the great thing about all of this online kind of blossoming of art and culture, hasn't it? And in sport, because people like myself who actually can't get out independently anyway and spend a lot of time being home based, yes, the world has suddenly opened up to us, even though it's closed off in other ways. So, yes, let's look at whether we could even put a little bit of a guide together. We'll use you as the guinea pig, Robin.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
a really
okay,
good idea.
thanks.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think that would really work well. Josh, you need to document it.
Crack out the camera.
That's it.
Yes,
Yeah.
Robin does the gig, you film it, we get content, everybody finds out how to do it, and everybody is happy. And you could indeed bring on another musician from a different part of the UK, including somebody from the music club, couldn't you? Have a support act.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, they'd have to be on their own Facebook Live, wouldn't they? But we'll look at that. We'll see how that works.
It's really interesting. I mean, in fact, as it happens, I should be better at flagging up my own stuff. I'm one of the 2 special guests at next week's Survivors Poetry Lockdown Lounge. That takes place on Zoom on a Thursday evening. If anybody wants the joining link, you can actually just contact us directly, and the email address is on the bottom of the screen, info@together2012.org.uk. You can also send it directly to Ju at together2012.org.uk, or indeed to TV at together2012.org.uk. But that's a really interesting experience for me. I've done 2 floor spots now going to virtual poetry events, but I haven't actually done a gig, if you like, as an artist. So yeah, I'll feed back on that as well. On a Friday, we always play out with some music. So in a minute, we will be handing over to Mr. Robin Surgeonator, also known as the artist Angry Fish. What's your song today, Robin?
My song today is called Institution Express.
And we've been putting you on and haven't been asking about how you came to write it or what it's about. But did you just want to tell us a little bit about that for the context?
Actually, this song is one of the first songs I ever wrote whilst running a songwriting workshop back in 2000. It actually says so on the bottom of my thing. It's that old, the copy I've got to sing from. What's it about? I think it's about... Well, I think the process was, we sat in a room and did a brainstorming on ideas and stuff, and I came up with a basic rhythm, which had this, it sounded a bit trainy, and then we said, well, let's talk about how life passes you by and how you're left often, either left at the side of the tracks or, in fact, as the song will tell you, on the wrong side of a one-way track.
Okay, well, that's great. And I think on that happy note, we should say goodbye from East London and let you get ready to get performing. Julie, did you do anything other than wave?
Have a lovely weekend. Thank you for joining us now, and take care, you guys at Sutton Coldfield.
Yes, I wish we were cold. So I'll also say goodbye from East London. Have a great weekend. Stay home, stay creative, and stay well. Are you ready for us, Robin?
Yeah, I'm good.
Goodbye from me. We'll see you all on Monday.
Yeah, I'm just going to lift this mic up a tad. Okay. Oh, I've lost the switch. Right, I'm here. So, as I say, this song is called Institution Express, and it has a kind of trainy feel to it. I'm on the railroad to freedom, 100 miles from everywhere. Conductor said, next stop equality, but first you must pay the fare. They accept all types of credit, choices, rights and dignity, which means we have no way of paying, which makes this train hypocrisy. Two, three, four. A voice announces on the tannoy, this train has been hijacked. Your social worker's smiling at you from the wrong side of a one-way track. What is the price of freedom? Does anybody out there know? Get rid of rules and regulations to make decisions on our own. Tear up the tracks that dictate where you're going. We're in charge from now on. It don't matter how difficult the journey, so long as it leads to freedom. What is the price of freedom? Tear up the tracks that dictate where you're going. We're in charge from now on. It don't matter how difficult the journey, so long as it leads to freedom, to freedom. Thank you and have a great weekend.